This is your Olympic hero and former WWE champion, Kurt Angle. And I just wanted to give a shout out to my guys, Clint and Noah. When it comes to covering sports, there is no one better. And believe me, that's true. It's damn true.
Forget Cyber Monday. It is Super Tuesday right here on the Outsider Sports Show. Clint Schweitzer and Noah Groniger, so happy to be joining you. It is December 1st. The weather's getting cold. That means it's time for NFL playoff implications. It's time for college football championship games, playoffs, bowl games. I am ready, Noah. It is so great to be here on the Outsider Sports Show after a busy month for you and I.
Yes, it has been a busy month, but we are on to December football. This is when the real games begin. We are fighting for the playoffs. Every team seems to be alive still in the NFL. Parity abound. Everyone is still alive.
Do you remember kind of a crazier year in the NFL where it just, I don't know, it seems so top-heavy to me, and then it just seems every other team is just the New York Jets. It's like Patriots, of course, coming off a loss, Panthers undefeated, and then you have the Jets,
the Buccaneers,
Falcons, 6-5, 5-6. Yeah. Everybody's alive. The Jacksonville Jaguars aren't going to go quietly. But we're talking one of the AFL's oldest rivalries today, Noah. We're talking Chiefs-Raiders. It's coming up on Sunday live from McAfee Coliseum in Oakland at 3:05 on CBS.
I can't wait. When was the last time that you could say that the Chiefs and Raiders game was intriguing for both teams? It means something to both teams. They're both fighting for a playoff spot. Wild card, albeit, but they're still both fighting. They're still both alive.
I have to go back to 1999 to think of a time when John Gruden's Raiders beat the Chiefs in the last game of the season that knocked the Chiefs out of the playoffs. And even then, that wasn't a Raiders team vying for the playoffs themselves. So in all the years combined, the Raiders haven't had a winning season since 2002, and these teams have not had a game of this magnitude in many, many years. This is unbelievable, and I think right now the Chiefs, having won 5 straight games going into Oakland, they have a lot of momentum. The Raiders coming off, though, a victory they needed to have against the Titans. It wasn't pretty, but they got it done, and the Raiders offense, the stats pop off, and we're going to be talking all about it with none other than Mr. Raider himself. The silver and black. It's George Atkinson. We're always afraid of a forearm shiver. We're going to have to give it another chance today.
Do not go over the middle. We will not do it. You don't do it. Nobody do it against George.
It's going to be great to talk to George here in just a few moments, breaking down the game as we do every Chiefs-Raiders game with George Atkinson. He's our man. He's our guy. He's our friend. And, don't underestimate that. And don't judge us because, we have a Raiders friend, okay? That's just how it is. And the Raiders are an up-and-coming team. You see Derek Carr. You see the progression, 24 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. The offensive numbers are jumping out. Even the running back Murray, over 700 yards. Watch out for the running game. And then you've got the receivers. You've got Amari Cooper, and you've got, Michael Crabtree, both. And Crabtree's having one of the biggest years of his career right now. Resurgence in Oakland.
He is. Derek Carr, sophomore boom for him. 24 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions. Amari Cooper, some people thought they should have taken Kevin White. He hasn't been on the field all year for the Chicago Bears. Amari Cooper was the right pick, and he is exploding on the scene in his rookie season for the Oakland Raiders.
Well, this is a big one. The Chiefs have won 5 straight games, coming off a win over the Buffalo Bills, which I thought was an impressive final 3 quarters for the Chiefs. You even saw quarterback Alex Smith testing the Bills' defense downfield and was able to find Jeremy Maclin. Funny enough, that's what you get a guy like Jeremy Maclin for, a guy that can stretch the field, make big plays in the passing game. Unbelievably, it came to fruition, if even for a moment, on Sunday for the Chiefs in a big win over the Bills. They had to have it. Chiefs own some tiebreakers here now in this AFC wildcard situation.
They do. They beat the Steelers. They beat the Bills. Unfortunately, they lose Justin Houston in that game. He's going to be out definitely this game, probably 2-3 weeks, it looks like. So they're going to be without their leading pass rusher. Tamba Hali has come on as of late. He's got 6.5 sacks on the season, but can he do it when they're rolling the line, adjusting the line to the left to get rid of Tamba Hali and close him off? He's going to see double teams chips, which he probably hasn't seen. That's been slided towards Justin Houston. So Tamba's going to have to come up with a big game single-handedly out there because I don't know if we can expect much from Frank Zombo and Dee Ford on the other side.
Well, let's get more into it. Let's bring on Mr. Raider himself, George Atkinson. George, welcome to the Outsider Sports Show once again, my man. How is everything going in your world, buddy?
I'm pretty good, especially after coming back from Tennessee, and we got the we got the win there. You know, that's always good.
Yes, the Raiders coming off a win, kind of stopping the bleeding a little bit. They had lost a few games in a row, but now back to 5-6, right in the thick of this AFC wildcard situation, as are the Kansas City Chiefs. So, George, as we look at it, it's been a minute since these two teams have played with any sort of playoffs on the line this late in the season. The Chiefs are coming out to Oakland, coming out to the Black Hole on Sunday at 3 o'clock Central Time. What are your thoughts on this game, and what do the Raiders need to do to stop these surging Chiefs?
Well, what they need, just to answer your last question first, what they need to do is, play football. Play heads-up football, knowing that Kansas City is on a win streak, 5-game win streak, I think, and that they have aspirations. So, you always want to be that spoiler, plus helping yourself as being the spoilers. And I think the Raiders right now, that's the role that they're in. Knocking Kansas City off, getting a win, and we're just playing solid football, because if you beat Kansas City Sunday, you got a shot at the playoffs for sure.
Well, what has happened with this Raiders team? They've really come along. They brought in 10 coaches with 102 years combined playing experience in the NFL. How big a factor has that been for them?
Well, whenever you have experience on your team, it's always a factor. You can't substitute that. That's something that comes with a group of guys who play the game and understand the game and know the meaning of winning, and especially when you're in a position as Kansas City. It should be a great game, I think, because Kansas City needs to continue to win to stay alive, and the Raiders need to win to stay alive. And I think when you get those forces coming together, it represents for a good football game.
Is this a must-win for the Raiders? Looking ahead a little bit, they've got the Packers and Broncos in the next couple weeks. They can't lose this game and be 2 games behind the Chiefs, losing a tiebreaker here early on, although they do play the last game of the season. Is this a must-win for the Raiders?
Oh, every game from here on out, especially you look at the Raiders' schedule. I mean, you got 4 games in a division, so you pretty much control your own destiny. And, I mean, you couldn't be in a better position to control your own destiny. When you're in that position, it should raise the competition within yourself. Your practices should speed up. And the games that you play should definitely be games that you understand are meaningful. And, it's as I said, balls to the wall.
Well, one thing that really jumps out are the offensive numbers for the Oakland Raiders. Derek Carr, 2,800 yards, 24 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. How important has his progression been for the Raiders' turnaround this season? And, of course, the 2 receivers, Crabtree, Amari Cooper, playing great football right now as well.
Well, Derek Carr, he handles the ball every down, and he directs the offense. So, I mean, he's the key to this whole thing. Crabtree, you look at the Raiders receivers, they can present problems to just about any defense in the league. You got Crabtree, you got Cooper, you got the kid 18 Holmes, and you got Seth Roberts, who I think is the key to this whole thing. I think if the Raiders continue to use him on offense, it's going to create problems for defenses. And Seth Roberts is the guy. You look at Cooper, Amari Cooper. Definitely, he's a comer. He's a guy that will be a threat in this league. But also, Seth Roberts has got to be the key to this offense, because he's a guy that most teams right now don't know a lot about. So, and he's a player. I like him as a player, and he came through for us last week in Tennessee, and I think he will continue to be a big part of this offense as long as the coordinator puts him in a position to make plays.
It's definitely going to be an interesting matchup out there on Sunday with Amari Cooper, Michael Crabtree going up against the Chiefs' corners who are highly talented themselves in Sean Smith and Marcus Peters, so Seth Roberts could be a big key. The Chiefs struggle with their nickel cornerback position. Let's go to this Raiders defense, though. Tell us a little bit more about them. People probably know the big names in Khalil Mack with 7 sacks, Charles Woodson, the elder statesman, with 5 interceptions. Give us some more detail on the rest of this Raiders defense.
Well, there's some weaknesses there, which I will not divulge, but
come on.
Some weaknesses. There's some weaknesses on the defense that I think the Raiders have to address, and until those weaknesses are addressed, it's going to be a fight every week to the finish. I think the Raiders have the makings of becoming a good defense, but you got to address the weaknesses that you have, and everybody knows what the Raiders' weaknesses are, and it's the cornerback position right now. Although the kid Emerson is playing well, he's doing a good job. Now you need somebody to complement him on the other side, and I think you got a pretty good mix going as far as defense is concerned. The front 7, I think, will be the key for the Raiders from this point out in the season. Continue to produce. They take a lot of pressure off of the secondary.
Well, let's talk about this game and this rivalry because to me, the AFC West, the AFC is better in general when these two teams are playing for something. I've just about had enough of Denver. Of course, their situation's kind of an odd one right now. Probably, obviously, still going to win this division, but they look like a team maybe in decline. We don't know. The defense is still playing well. But Chiefs-Raiders, that's the game we all remember. That's the game you remember from your days of playing for the Oakland Raiders. How big is it that these two teams are playing for something meaningful right now this late in the season?
Well, Chiefs Raiders have always been a rivalry, and it used to be back in the day, whoever won between the Chiefs and the Raiders got a shot at the conference championship, and whoever won the conference championship normally won the Super Bowl. And when you look back, it was about the Chiefs Raiders. At that time, the Broncos were they just weren't productive at the end of the year where they need to be when we played. It was always between the Chiefs and the Raiders, and it's shaping up to be that way again. The Broncos, although Manning is not there and they're getting production from the backup, I don't know exactly, and they did beat the Patriots, granted. 10 is last, and that's the big thing with them. I think the division is wide open. San Diego right now, not that productive. The Raiders are in between. Kansas City seems like they're peaking at the right time, and if the Raiders can knock Kansas City off, it'll show that they're starting to peak. So right now the onus is on the Raiders to really play solid football and to beat Kansas City, because I think that they will wind up splitting with the Broncos. I actually believe that. They should have beat the Broncos the first time they played. What was it, 16-10? And it was a good football game, and I think that they have a shot at beating the Broncos. Kansas City, on the other hand, they are grooving right now. They, 5-game win streak, confidence up. They believe that they can win it, and they're doing it. Kansas City Chiefs right now is the team to beat in the AFC West.
Well, absolutely. It's going to come down to it because last year we had you on before the Chiefs came out there facing a winless Raider team. The Raiders won that game, won their first game of the year against a Chiefs team that was hot. This is another chance for Oakland to do that, and I figure this is going to be a big one. Before we let you go, George, got to get a prediction, got to get a score out of you, and since we're not next to you, we can't engage in any physical contact or violence during the prediction.
I don't think you want any.
We don't. Trust me.
That's so true.
I still got some gas in the tank now.
I don't think we ever had any gas, so you got us there.
Now, I don't have a prediction, man. I'm looking for a good football game. The best team will come out as winners. And I truly believe if the Raiders can get a win here, they can vie for a playoff spot. Kansas City, on the other hand, they're looking at it from the position of strength in the sense that if they can get a win, hey, they can win the division. So it'll be a great football game. I think it's going to be better than what we're anticipating. And I think that Kansas City Chiefs present a problem for the Raiders in the sense that they have won 5 straight. But if the Raiders can beat the Chiefs, it means that they have turned the corner. The younger players understand the significance of winning in the division. And I think you're going to see between the Chiefs and the Raiders, it's going to be years coming. That's who will battle for the AFC division.
Absolutely. I think that's going to be the direction we head in 2016 and beyond. The Raiders have so much young talent. Can't wait for the game this Sunday, George. I'm excited. As always, we are so glad to have you on during Raider Week and any other time. George, enjoy the game, and we will catch up again as we will play the last game of the season. We'll talk to you then, my man.
Hey, I'll be in Kansas City, so give me a holler the week of Kansas City. Hey, like I said, I'm coming to Kansas City.
Yes, we will do that. We will. We'll have to get with you on that, and we'll make sure you get through the Sea of Red without any incident, George, because I know you'd be kind of fearful coming up here wearing all that silver and black.
It's never happened before, so if I do get through the Sea of Red without an incident, it'll be a first.
Well, that's what we're for, and that you have some muscle on your side, George. Just be thankful for that. Hey, we will definitely hit you up on your trip to KC. Maybe we can catch up and take in the game. We will be in touch, George. Have a good one and enjoy the game on Sunday, my man.
It's always a pleasure.
Hey, man, thank you for sure.
You bet. We'll talk soon.
Take care.
Cannot thank you enough, George, for joining us each and every time that we break down Chiefs and Raiders. We have a ace in the hole, and it is Mr. George Atkinson.
Always love hearing from George, one of our favorites. He's going to be in Kansas City the last week of the season for that big Chiefs-Raiders matchup. Could be for a playoff spot, a wild card playoff spot, maybe the division if the Broncos fall in their face. I doubt it, though. That defense is too good. So we're going to have to catch up with George in person, hang out, try to not get forearm shiver, try to get him through the Sea of Red.
He's pressuring us to try to get a nice warm suite for that final game because it's going to be cold, and I'll tell you what. He's used to that California weather. You know what? Coming here to Arrowhead, it's going to be a little different, a little chilly. We will have to seek warmth for George because I know, his presence and his friendship.
It's going to be tough with him
my heart.
out there in the elements. I don't think he faced that during his career, but yes, he did.
Yes, I think he'll do okay. But it's going to be great to catch up with him in Kansas City. But we have this game on Sunday, and honestly, it feels like a big time situation. The Chiefs, like I mentioned to George, fell on their face last year. Took a 7-3 record and a nice winning streak into Oakland last year against a winless Raiders team. The Chiefs, all they had to do was play horribly to win the game. They actually played beyond horribly, lost the game, and missed the playoffs as a result. And this Chiefs team right here, with a lot of tiebreakers, but a lot of teams right lodged in the middle of those 5-6, 6-5 type records, need this one bad. They need the AFC wins.
Yeah, other than the Justin Houston being out of the game, you really look at it, and everything seems to favor Kansas City in this game. Alex is going to take care of the ball. Other than Khalil Mack and Charles Woodson on defense, the Raiders really struggle. Spencer Ware, although it's only 34 carries, has 6.3 yards a carry average. I mean, you look at Alex Smith finally going deep down the field to Jeremy Maclin, although Charles Woodson's going to be roaming back there. I'm sure they're going to have him over the top. So it's definitely going to be an interesting matchup. Turnover ratio favors the Chiefs. They're plus 12. Raiders are minus 1. That could definitely come into play here in this game.
I think it will. And I'm going to be interested to see if this air raid Alex Smith, Mayday Smith quarterback we saw on Sunday against Buffalo continues testing the Raiders' young secondary, which I think they need to do. And I think even if Alex Smith isn't comfortable doing it, and it's what needs to happen.
I mean, Buffalo, you looked in that game, they weren't having coverage over the top. They were just single man-to-man, no safety over the top.
Why wouldn't you against this Kansas City team? I mean, there for a while in that game, I saw 8 defenders within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage for most of that first half. I mean, the Chiefs had something like less yards than the Bills had first downs in the first quarter. Now they came back and played a pretty good offensive game. I agree with you. I like what I see out of Spencer Ware, and you might get Shendarik West back for this game.
Yeah,
and he's also shown a lot of signs. Niall Davis, a guy we haven't heard much of, his career 2.5 yards per carry average, probably not going to cut it here. I don't think he'll be a Chief next year. Probably not a good pick looking back on it a few years later.
He's got Marcus Peters to fall back on. That was a good pick, but you look at Fisher, you look at Ford, you look at Niall Davis. Those picks he's not going to want to talk about. Try not to put him on the field too much. Ford and Davis seem to just not be able to get on the field. Fisher's doing okay, but...
Noah, you asked me an interesting question just the other day, and it's a question you've certainly never asked of me before, and it's something we've never really talked about before. You asked me kind of whimsically, but half serious, can the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl? Well, and then we got into it, and it's a weird question, and we talked about how the season is, and that what spurns the question.
You look at the Patriots, they seem to be the top dog with all their injuries. Amendola, Edelman, Dion Lewis. Now with Gronk out, who knows how long with that bruised knee. On the defensive side, their top two linebackers, Dante Hightower, Jamie Collins are out. I mean, they've just got mass injuries. Nate Solder, their starting left tackle's out. The Bengals, they're beatable. The Broncos are definitely beatable with their quarterback situation. Now the Patriots are beatable with all their injuries. I mean, Super Bowl, it sounds insane. It sounds crazy, but I think it's possible.
Only one other time as a 1-5 team even made the playoffs. The Chiefs started at the season, of course, 1-5, and now with 5 straight wins, sit at 6-5 in a great place. Even with a loss to the Raiders, would still be sitting there really well with some tiebreakers and
the easiest schedule in the NFL remaining.
Absolutely, absolutely. So
even if we do lose to the Raiders have the Packers and Broncos coming up next. Those could easily be 2 losses, and we'd be right back in it.
No, don't get us wrong. I don't think either one of us are ever going to predict the Chiefs to the Super Bowl until my eyes absolutely see it. And even then, I don't know that I will believe what's happening in front of me.
Just Tom Brady out there with just 6 men. I'm going to go with Tom Brady. I mean,
forget Tom Brady. You're talking about this Chiefs team would still probably have to go somewhere like Houston or probably Indianapolis or somewhere. Nope, just don't like that. No matter how well we're playing.
But I mean, if somehow they do get a win or 2, I mean, going to Gillette in the freezing snow and sleet and ice with Tom Brady in those elements. The best kicker in the NFL, Stephen Gostkowski. Cairo Santos, he's from Brazil. I don't think he's going to be making 40-yard field goals in the snow and a frozen tundra. I don't think that's going to happen.
I hear Brady's a little hard to beat out there in AFC playoff games, but you never know whenever you might see some kind of domestic situation with him and Giselle. A lot of rumors out there in the stratosphere, okay?
Brady having some fun with other ladies. I mean, that's to be expected, though.
It's just rumors.
Giselle's having her fun. I mean, she shouldn't get her...
I just heard there's some rumor about a plane ride and Ben Affleck, freaking Batman, and Tom Brady and some stewardesses. I don't know the story. I wasn't there, Noah. Did he touch her? Did he not touch her? I don't know. I wasn't there.
I hear the stewardess's name was Inga, and she was only in town for the weekend.
You're telling me that he risked his relationship with Giselle for some weekend fling?
I think he did. Everybody knows stewardesses are the hottest.
I'm sorry, no,
profession out there.
I didn't want you to hear that. I'm sorry, guys. We're clearly spiraling out of control here on the Outsiders
Saved by the Bell
Show.
references abound. We must get out of here.
Before we go, we remind you always check out our website. All of our content, all of our shows are right there on the website, GreatAmericanSportsNetwork.com. We are the Outsiders Sports Show, a part of the Great American Sports Network. And that's the site, GreatAmericanSportsNetwork.com.
Under the giant umbrella of the Great American Sports Network, GASN. Catch us on Twitter at GA Sports Network. Hit us up there. We always love the interaction. Hear your tweets. Hit us up.
Thank you, guys, and enjoy the weekend of football action. I know we will because we don't have wives or girlfriends, and it's too cold to do yard work. Thank you very much.
Chiefs and Raiders, it's Raider Week.